All right, so welcome to the first office hours for the CodeShift Hackathon. Um, Most likely, you will be watching this. You'll be consuming this on demand. We're recording these sessions as they're happening live, so that way you can go back and watch them. What we've seen in the past is most people will actually go back and watch the videos, depending upon the content. So what I wanted to do first was just start off. Let me see if I can blow this up here. To start off and just do some general logistics for the hackathon. And then we're going to get into environment setups. There's a bunch of resources there, but I kind of want to give you a lay of the land and walk through it. Probably won't go through every single one of them, every single one of the options, but we'll go through and kind of click through the resources that we've provided so you can kind of get a general understanding of what's happening. Once again, my name is Jeff Beck. I'm with Red Hat. I'm a product marketing manager, one of the organizers of this event. You'll see me a lot in these office hours, see me on the Slack channels. Think of me, I don't have a deep expertise in a lot of the technologies, but I'll kind of be the ringleader, so to speak, and getting the right people in the right areas and making sure your questions get answered. Mark Cheshire is also on the call. Mark, do you want to introduce yourself? Mark's one of the organizers as well.
Hi, how are you doing? I'm responsible in Red Hat within the application services business unit for technical marketing, and I'm very pleased to be the sponsor within Red Hat for this. So looking forward to a great deal of innovation and looking forward to see the amazing apps you come up with.
All right, thanks, Mark. I wanted to just start real quick and just give the general layout of the hackathon. This is a Red Hat and Intel sponsored hackathon. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the great Intel capabilities, and we're going to focus a lot on OpenShift as well. So as you may or may not know, OpenShift is Red Hat's distribution of Kubernetes. So what we're seeing in the, I guess, generally speaking, in modern development today is that OpenShift has kind of become one of the de facto app servers for cloud native workloads. So while OpenShift is the base for a lot of these applications, Red Hat also has a number of great products and technologies that complement it. So when we talk about the OpenShift app dev platform, we're really talking about more than just OpenShift or Kubernetes. We're talking about technologies that are integrated and supported, and we'll kind of go through some of those. So really our goal with this is to drive not only awareness of Red Hat and our OpenShift application platform capabilities, but also get people using the technologies, get your hands on. We're probably going to see everything from Kubernetes experts to someone who has never done Kubernetes and is interested in it. So we're excited for all of those different levels of experience. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions. This is really informal. I know it is being recorded, so if you, like I said, if you want to ask offline, please do. But we want to treat these informally. So at your level, at your comfort level, let us know. Well, we are giving away $70,000. We're excited that we were able to have that large of a prize amount. If you look further down on the main page here, the breakdown is going to be $35,000 for best overall. Sorry about that. We're going to have a second place of 15,000, third place of 10, and then have two runner-ups at 5,000 each. Let me turn my notifications off so something else doesn't happen. Sorry about that. So $70,000. We're really excited about that. I think that shows how much that we are interested and excited to do this hackathon. Couple of key things. Like I said, we're going to try for every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We hope that gets people from North America, Latin America, as well as EMEA, the ability to attend live if they want. We're going to run them through November 8th. We're going to publish a schedule, hopefully in the next day or two here, where we're going to do 30 minutes of each office hours with an enablement session. So today we're going to do environment setups. We're looking at doing things like Intel's going to do one in the next week or two on OpenVINO. We're going to have some folks doing stuff on Quarkus, probably things like pipelines, maybe some Kafka stuff. So the goal is to kind of bring these experts in and do a little bit of enablement if you're not familiar with these technologies, so you can see how to integrate it in OpenShift and also ask some questions. So we'll publish that in the next day or two. We're going to spend a lot of time today talking about the getting started environments. So we'll get to that. And if you're interested, Red Hat is actually doing a series of global in-person events that are free. So I put a link here if you want to actually attend one of these sessions. They really are all across the globe over the next 4 to 6 weeks. So take a look at that if you're interested. Essentially with what we're asking for, we want to keep things open. We want to, with this hackathon, we want to make sure that we obviously box it a little bit in terms of the direction we're trying to go in terms of cloud native apps. Around OpenShift, we want to keep it pretty broad and let you all do what you do best, and that's create great applications. So really what we're saying is an open source application that is deployed on OpenShift or Kubernetes equivalent. So we'll give you some more details there. Cloud native applications can do a variety of use cases. So we're incentivizing AI ML, giving you free access to all those tools. We think that's obviously relevant and timely right now. There's also things like Edge. People are doing event-driven applications, some serverless applications. So really we want to give you some ideas, but not box it too much. We are incentivizing in the judging criteria to use Red Hat technologies and products, which we'll talk more about. But that is one area of the judging, but not the only area. Keep in mind, kind of take a look at this as you get ready to submit. We are trying to have some uniformity in the submissions. We feel with our prize amounts and this technology space, we are going to get a significant amount of submissions. So we want to keep them somewhat uniform. Nothing too earth-shattering here. We just want to see things like, obviously, public URL for your code repository that includes a README file that makes it easy for our judges to understand the technology and how to actually deploy it. Architecture diagrams from a high level. We don't think you need to spend hours polishing them off. It's just we want to see what the architectural layouts are, so we can have an understanding of the application. Any prerequisites you might have. A demo guide, if possible, kind of walking us through how to engage and consume your application, any deployment instructions, less than 5 minute video. What we found in the past is this is probably the most interesting part of these submissions. It doesn't have to be polished, curated. Don't worry about editing it. We just want to hear from you about your application. What inspired you, what you did, what was cool, what was a challenge, and kind of walking us through it. Please don't think you have to be an expert in editing these. Just a short 5 minute video with ums and ahs and even mess ups, that is just fine. So we've got detailed instructions here on what to submit. We do have a nice link down here, this link for Red Hat patterns, that gives you a good idea of what to submit if you're looking for some inspiration in terms of guidelines for architecture diagrams and documentation. That's a good link there. We are working still on getting the judges. So we're going to have a Red Hat judge, an Intel judge. We're going to have some industry experts. We've had a couple people actually even reach out to nominate themselves, and so we're taking a look at that. So the judges will announce those soon. They're not all these judges are not going to be purely technical folks. What we've seen in the past as well is we bring in judges that really can, I guess, bring a different lens to it. The judging, where they look at things like, what does the UI UX look like? Is it an innovative product? Maybe not so much under the hood with what's going on, but really about the application themselves. From a criteria perspective, we're looking at like things I mentioned: UI, UX, the code quality. Is it an innovative product? What's the potential impact of that application? And then this fifth category that we're talking about is Red Hat and Intel integration. So before I get to the resources tab, which contains a lot of this, I just wanted to make sure we kind of go through the general logistics. From a timeline perspective, we we're going through November 13th as the submission deadline, and then after that we're going to go into probably a 3 or 4 week period where we down select and get the finalists and get the judging completed. So we'll have an announcement on, I should know this, December 13th. Mark, correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but we'll be announcing the actual winners on the 13th. I'll have to update this page to make sure.
I believe it's the 12th.
12th, okay. I will update this page to make sure that that is on there. That should be on there. So finalist announcements will be on December 12th. All right. Any questions so far? Okay. What I want to do is get into the resources section, and this is where we're going to also dive into the environment options. Everything we're doing from a links perspective, this resources section is gonna grow over time as we get more assets and more links to great things based on your questions. But we think the first and most important part is probably getting your environment set up, and we've got a couple different options for you. There is a Red Hat Developer Sandbox, which is on the developers.redhat.com site. And I've got a link in here. I'm going to go to that in a second. This is a free 30-day hosted OpenShift cluster that's got access to a number of pre-configured operators. With this registration, you also get access to Red Hat's customer portal for documentation. So if you're going to go digging deep into any issues, this is going to be a great site that has got deep level documentation on a particular technology. There are some limitations to the sandbox which may cause some issues. There's a 30-day trial period, so I think at this point we have 40 days left in the hackathon. So there is some exporting and importing capabilities. We realize this is not ideal. We're looking to see if we can maybe mitigate that risk and extend some of these folks, but if that's not able to be done, we do have this 30-day option is really nice, but we will have to do some exporting and importing. So just to make sure you're aware there. I'm going to get into some of these, but we've got a great getting started guide. We're going to talk about guided activities. There's an FAQ that kind of talks about all this, and there's a series of great videos on the sandbox. So before I get into that, I want to kind of go through them. So the sandbox is a great, I don't know, it's probably maybe the recommended approach, especially if you're new to Kubernetes or OpenShift. This is just a great way to get your feet wet and start learning where things are at and how to build applications, how to deploy them, those kind of things. So I'd really recommend starting here in terms of taking a look around the sandbox. The local installation, we'll go into that as well. We've got the ability to download OpenShift locally. There are some system requirements listed here, and there's a getting started guide. And then the third option, we also can do cloud provided hosted. Now this, you'll have to have access to either a Azure or AWS account. There is probably, I'm not sure how significant, there will be a cost associated with that will be on the participant. I wanted to list this as an option in case someone had access to it, but obviously this comes with a cost associated. So with that being said, I'm going to go into the Red Hat Developer Sandbox. Once again, all these links that I'm going to go through here are in this resources tab, so you'll have them afterwards. Just kind of want to give you a lay of the land so you're not overwhelmed as you start to get into this. So this takes you to the Red Hat developers.redhat.com page. This is a great site for obviously for developers to get technical information around Red Hat products. This would be things like RHEL, OpenShift, some of the roads, which is the data science, Quarkus, all these great things. So this is a great place to start. And I did pre-register, but when you click on the sandbox to start, it will ask you to register for an account. I registered last night. So what you'll typically do is if you were new, you'd register for an account here. And it walks you through that process, but it's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go through and log in. And it will start up a sandbox for me. Before I get into that, I want to kind of show you a few things on this page. This is where the FAQs are. This is kind of the general list of things for the developer sandbox. We have some great activities, which we're going to talk about a little bit here too. Is that if once again, if you're trying to learn about OpenShift for the first time, this is the best place to start. So if I go into my sandbox environment, it's going to drop you into a hosted OpenShift cluster. And so what you're going to see across when you first go into this, there's a nice overlay screen that kind of walks you through kind of a guide me approach that will kind of give you the lay of the land. One of the things I want to point out is that you do have limited access to administrator privileges. Because this is a shared cluster, you're kind of locked down. So we are not able to install any additional things like operators, but you do have a little bit of limited privileges. That kind of gives you a warning here. I wanted to show you a list of the installed operators that you get with the sandbox, so you're familiar with that. So things like Intel's One API Analytics Toolkit, Camel K operator for integration. There's some remote dev spaces. This is, chime in, Mark, if I get this wrong, but this is things like I think Eclipse Chase, or you can do some remote development with an IDE. We've got things like an observability operator for that brings in like Prometheus and Grafana, integration with OpenShift pipelines for GitOps, OpenVino, which is an AI/ML product by Intel, and some other things like serverless. So we do provide operators for you. There are not other operators that you may need, so we don't have the ability to install new operators. So that's just want to make sure that's a known limitation. The overlay that I was talking about, I believe. Well, you'll get it when you first log in, but you can get back to the overlay where it kind of shows you the lay of the land. Up here, you get access to things like command lines and terminals and things like that. So what I'd suggest is kind of get into the OpenShift environment, start playing around a little bit, and kind of get the lay of the land.
Just, it's worth calling out the quick starts as well. They give some helpful pointers to walk through some scenarios and get comfortable with some of the tools and capabilities available.
Yep, I was just going to actually do that. So that was everything I showed you before was on the admin screen. This is the developer screen. So if you click add, by one click of a button, you get access to a lot of stuff. So one thing to take away this is remember this button. So either go add here, or I believe add here works as well. That's actually YAML. So add here, you get access to a bunch of things. So here you've got access to resources. So you can create applications using sample code. There's a bunch of great quick starts. I'd almost kind of recommend, if this is the first time, go to this quick start, because with these quick starts, say I want to deploy a Quarkus application, you'll notice on the right-hand side, these quick starts give you overlays. So kind of gives you a lay of the land of what you're going to do in this. Quick start walks you through step by step in terms of the steps you need to take. So I recommend looking at these quick starts. So once again, this was an add and view all quick starts. From here, you can import an existing GitHub repository. You can pull in existing container images. There's a lot of different things you can do from this main screen. So kind of the gist of it is the developer sandbox is a great way, while there's some limitations, is a great way to get started and get your feet wet with OpenShift. Mark, anything else you want to add on that front?
No, I think that's good. But are you going to touch on some of the what to do if you start bumping up against resource limitations?
No, do you know? I don't have much experience with that.
Well, it's just that there are limited resources within the sandbox, and you may find that if your application starts getting heavier in terms of resource requirements, you may come to a point where you need to migrate off the sandbox and start developing locally, or set up your OpenShift environment on a cloud platform.
Good point. So in the FAQ, it gives you the resources that are made available. So 40 gig of storage, looks like 14 gigs of RAM. Okay. Let's see. Let me go back to the DevPo site. So once again, I'm back on the resources page. These videos, there's a series of videos that are done around the OpenShift sandbox that will kind of walk you through. So I recommend obviously doing the quick starts, make sure the overlay, get the lay of land, and some of these videos are really quite nice. So that's the sandbox option. The other option is a local install. Let me show you. We have a nice console to get up and running from that perspective. So when you click on the link, sorry, my machine's slow. You have the ability to deploy to cloud, data center, or local. So in this local tab, we'll concentrate on here. You could select your OS as well as your architecture and get the downloadable file, as well as being able to copy or pull down the secret. And then here's a link to the getting started documentation for installing locally. So that is here. All right, so we've covered local installation, sandbox, and I've got some links here. I'm not sure how many people are probably going to take advantage of this, but there are some links if you are interested in running OpenShift on Azure or AWS. There's some great links and tutorials here to get up and running with that. All right. Next, I wanted to make sure everyone's aware of the fact that we have a Slack channel. So in the Slack channel, we've got dedicated, I'll bring this over on the screen. We've got an announcements channel. We've got some technology specific channels as well, one around OpenVINO, OpenShift, Quarkus, some data science stuff. So what we're going to have some people monitoring, some experts monitoring the Slack channel. What we're going to do is we're going to have all Red Hat and Intellers or organizers put a designation next to their name, so you know if they're participants or if they are either organizers or I guess subject matter experts in an area. So please feel free to click on and register for that link. So there's an invitation link here. And in the resources section, we also have, while a little overwhelming, we have a link to these additional Red Hat and Intel technologies. So a list of the things here, like with, I guess, jump off points to more information on all of these. So we've got some, almost like a cheat sheet, right? When we say OpenShift, we mean Kubernetes. When we're talking about data science, we've got Red Hat OpenShift Data Science, but we're also have products with Intel OpenVINO and Toolkit and some links to resources there. Java frameworks, if you hear us mention Quarkus, Quarkus is a cloud native, Kubernetes native Java framework, very similar to Spring in certain respects, where it's lightweight and fast startup time. So it doesn't mean you have to use Quarkus. You can use Spring, you can use Jakarta E, anything you like there. Serverless, we have some OpenShift serverless, Knative integrations. When we say service mesh, we've got some things around Istio. We have API management. We've got integration with Fuse and Camel. We've got access to Kafka and AMQ Broker. We've also got some tight integrations with Keycloak for SSO. So when we talk about these, this is a list of the tools and technologies that you can use that are tightly integrated with OpenShift. And we'll also be looking at your usage of some of these technologies as kind of like, I guess, 1/5 or 20% of the judging criteria. So we encourage you to use Red Hat products. Obviously, you don't have to use them to win this hackathon, but we'd like to see you guys use it. Give us feedback on what you liked and what you didn't like as well.
It's worth pointing out here that there's a lot more capabilities and products listed than are available in the OpenShift sandbox you were showing earlier. Remember, there was that list of operators. So if there are any capabilities that you'd like to take advantage of in the list that Jeff showed, which are not in the sandbox, then that would be another reason to look at one of the other options than sandbox for developing your app. So it really depends. Have a look at what's the kind of building key elements of your architecture for the app you're creating, and let that guide then what type of OpenShift environment you use, or if you use some Kubernetes community distribution.
Yeah, good point. If you ever feel stuck, which is definitely possible, especially in the beginning, please reach out to us on the Slack channel. We can pull in some, like I said, some subject matter experts in these particular technologies, or if we want just some general guidance, please let us know. And as this hackathon starts to kind of gain momentum, of which we already have 137 participants registered, I think we're going to start to see more activity in the Slack channel. We'll do more enablement sessions in office hours. So I really wanted to keep this to half an hour at first. So I just wanted the lay of the land in terms of environments. I think that's the best first step. Resources tab is crucial probably for you. And so we did have a pretty good question that I'm going to add to the resources. Someone had talked about what to do when your 30-day trial expires. You do have the ability to stand up a new trial environment for another 30 days. The challenge is we have to make sure you export and then import. We realize it's not ideal, but I've got a link that I'll include on the resources section that shows you exactly how to walk through and do that. So with that being said, are any of the folks on the call have any questions or feel comfortable coming off mute? Let us know. Feel free to do so. If not, Mark, any other things I may have missed?
Well, I just encourage anyone that's on the call, or anybody that listens to the recording, to jump into the Slack and let us know what topics you'd like us to cover in next week's office hours. We'll shape the agenda for the meeting based on what you're interested in. So just let us know.
That's a great idea. Maybe I'll put a poll up, and we'll see what people are most interested in, and we'll find speakers for that. That's a good idea. Oh, you know what? On that front, one really nice feature that this hackathon sponsored DevPost has is this idea generator. So if you're struggling for an idea for a project, they're leveraging AI in a series of questions to kind of give you a curated response. And I did this the other night for the first time, and it gave me back 5 or 6 really interesting ideas. So that's what this, if you're wondering what this idea generator is, give that a shot and see if it sparks some ideas. I'll probably I'll put something in the Slack channel to call this out specifically, because usually starting is sometimes the hardest part. So. Okay, well, I will make this recording available. As I mentioned,
Jeff, I think maybe Ricky's got a question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff and Mark. I was wondering if we need to have like a URL available for like a functioning web app or something like that, if that was one of our goals. I know we have to have the code available, but do we have to have that as well? Or is it kind of open-ended?
I don't think it has to be hosted. I think if you give us the deployment instructions and it's able to be hosted, I think we can, most likely what we've done in the past is follow those instructions and stand it up locally, and then that the judges will go ahead and do that. We may, for the judges, stand up something for them so they can evaluate it, but I don't believe you're gonna have to keep anything up and publicly available and incur the cost of it to win this. Mark, any thoughts on that?
No, exactly as you said. We didn't include any requirement around hosting a live running version of the site. So as long as you have the deployment instructions, that's all good.
Another nuance to that too that we were talking about is that the app doesn't have to be fully functional, meaning every feature within the app doesn't need to be it doesn't need to be fully working and functioning. So what we mean by that is an app can still be very compelling, great use of technology. I mean, it's 40 days. Not everything has to be available. So feel free to use mockups, like mocking data or input, just to showcase the application itself. Now, obviously, to win, it's gonna be somewhat functional, but not every piece of the app has to be fully functioning.
Okay, thanks, guys.
All right, and then so as we get going with these office hours, what I'll probably do too is like highlight the questions that come in and go over those just so everyone's kind of aware. But thank you for those who have attended. Feel free to spread the word too. We're just now starting a marketing blitz this week. We kind of did a soft launch, which you guys obviously somehow came across last week. So you'll start to see more registrants and more activity going on in the office hours in the Slack channel. So don't be a stranger. Let us know. Let us know how your experience is going on social. We're doing a hashtag CodeShift. So if you have an interesting experience or want to share what your progress, feel free to do that. We'll highlight it, and that's it. So have a good rest of your day and a good rest of your week, everyone. And we look forward to talking to you soon.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye.
Take care.